Let's go live. I'm going live. According to YouTube, I'm live. Hello to anyone who's watching this live. Apparently I've got one person watching live. Hello. Hello. I tried doing this over about half an hour ago, but honestly, my room is so hot. The heat took it out of me. I'm going to try and get through this live stream as best as possible, but it's so hot in my room that my God, it takes me out of this a bit. I must admit, because it's just my room is boiling at the moment because currently in the UK where I am, we're experiencing a heat wave, and I hate the heat. I love windy weather. I love cold weather. I hate the heat, and so oh my God, I'm just absolutely boiling right now. But I'm gonna try to get through this live stream as best as possible today. So hello there, and welcome to my 18th live stream on this channel. And today I'm talking about something that I wouldn't usually talk about in these live streams. Normally in these live streams I talk about something like movie and TV news related, but there isn't really anything going on in the movie and TV news world right now, I must admit. And by the way, sorry if you hear the motorbikes out there right now. I'm not sure if you're actually going to hear them, but sorry if you did. But anyway, there's not really anything going on in the movie and TV world right now. So I thought I'd talk about this thing that I found out yesterday, and that is about why the Duel of the Fates in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, the fight between Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Darth Maul is so significant for the Star Wars films altogether, and why it's actually kind of genius. And that's what I'm going to talk about in today's live stream. Like, normally I talk about something on movie TV news related, but that's not what I'm going to talk about today. I will be doing something like that tomorrow, probably, because it's rumoured. Well, I think it's basically confirmed, actually, that we're going to get a Dune trailer tomorrow, so I'll be talking about that on the channel. But apart from that, wait till tomorrow to see what I think of the Dune trailer. But for now, let's talk about why the Duel of Fates is actually kind of genius in Star Wars. But anyway, before we get into that today, let's get some, house clean items off the bat. First of all, I should say this. Like I said, it's really hot right now. I'm sweating. I'm going to sweat for the rest of this video. And honestly, it's so hot in this room right now. So, apologies if I slur my words or I repeat myself a few times in the video. It's so hot, and sometimes the heat gets me that I don't always think straight. So I do apologize about it. I do apologize about that in this video, or this live stream, should I say. And at the same time, though, I should also say, I live in the countryside, so, and I also have bad hay fever. So if I sneeze at any point in this live stream, I do apologize. It hasn't happened yet, but, it could happen, I'm not going to count my chickens there. So, if I do sneeze at any point in this live stream, I do apologise. I also seem to live next to a main road, and so there's, like, motorbikes and tractors and trucks going up and down it, all the time. So if any large vehicle interviews, if any large vehicle interviews with the sound on this live stream, I do apologize as well. And at the same time, though, I also happen to live next to a building site. Honestly, the amount of drilling I hear from my neighbour is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, one of my neighbours is a builder. I mean, he's a really nice guy. I've got nothing wrong with him, but he's always drilling, and he's always doing work on his house. He moved in there like 2 years ago and he's still doing work there. But anyway, if at any point in this live stream you do hear a drill going on in the background, that's not something I'm doing. Like, I don't have a secret drill down here and start to drill the computer that's I'm doing something. No. It's because he'll be drilling something on his house next door. And I'm not even sure what he's drilling anymore, but he'll be drilling something more often than not. So it's really annoying, but I do apologize if you get any sound interference with this video. And like I said before, I'm going to reiterate this because I dare say I'll be repeating myself quite a few times in the video because of how hot it is. I do apologize if I slur my words in this video, if I don't speak straight, if I repeat myself quite a few times, and if I'm just not 100%. It's so hot in this room, and at the same time, though, I've got a really bad earache now. I've got a really bad earache right now. I can't even speak because of the heat. I've got a really bad earache right now, so I'm not feeling 100%, but I'm going to power through just for you guys. So without further ado, let's get into my live stream. Oh, one more thing to say. If you want to send a live question in during the live stream, please do, and I'll answer it the best as possible. Also, if you want me to talk about anything in my next live stream, please do let me know in the comment section below, and I'll probably talk about it in my next live stream, or the live stream after that, or whenever I get the chance to. But anyway, without further ado, let's get into my main topic for today. And oh my God, I'm already sweating like mad. Jesus Christ, I'm sweating like I thought. But anyway, let's get into my main topic today. And that is why the Duel of Fate in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, is actually kind of genius, and why George Lucas did something really clever there. So, first of all, let's provide some context on my thoughts on The Phantom Menace. I have talked about the Star Wars films a very long time ago on this channel, but back before The Rise of Skywalker came out, so I'll tell you how long ago that was, almost over 2 years ago now. But the thing is, though, I don't like the Phantom Menace, but I don't hate it. There's only one Star Wars movie which I hate, and that's Attack of the Clones. And even the Attack of the Clones, there's some sequences in that film I don't mind, but I'm not going to get into that today. But I don't hate Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, but I also don't really like it either. I think it's got some enjoyable moments in. Now I like the performance quite a bit. It's good seeing Ian McGregor in his first performance as, Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's nice seeing Liam Neeson's Qui-Gon Jinn in there. I think Darth Maul is really good in there as well. I like Darth Maul character, particularly because he doesn't speak. And then all the other Star Wars villains, in my opinion, they speak a bit too much, or a bit in riddles, and sometimes they get a bit annoying. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of General Grievous, but I'm not going to get into that as well. But anyway, I like Darth Maul as a character. There's things about the Phantom Menace I like. I love the John Williams score for that film, which I'm going to talk about a bit later in this live stream as well. But the thing is, though, overall, The Phantom Menace is a pretty bad film. I'm not going to lie. It's a pretty bad film. And I would even go as far as to say it's pretty unnecessary. All the droids get defeated at the end of the movie, but then they're all back in Attack of the Clones. What's the point? But anyway, get my point there. I don't hate The Phantom Menace, but I also don't particularly like it either. It's got some enjoyable moments in there. But the thing is, like I said, it's got some enjoyable moments in there, though, which I need to talk about. Like, I'm not thinking straight today. But anyway, yes, it's got some enjoyable moments in there. That's what I want to talk about in this live stream. Like, I enjoy the pod race sequence in that film. I enjoy the way the John Williams score is used in the pod race sequence. And I also enjoy the epic lightsaber battle between Obi-Wan Kenobi, Qui-Gon Jinn, and Darth Maul in the final part of the film. And so that is what I'm talking about today. The significance of the Duel of Fate in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Now, why it's so significant, and I only found this out yesterday, because I was listening to a podcast when a guy was talking about how much he absolutely loved the Star Wars movies, he even loved the prequels as well. And, I don't love the prequels. I think Revenge of the Sith is a good film, but, it's not great film, must admit, and Attack of the Clones has got some really bad moments in there, and Phantom Menace isn't great either, so I'm not a big fan of the prequels overall. If you are, that's fine, everyone's got their own opinion on the movies, but personally I'm not a big fan of the prequels. But this guy I was watching, the guy I was listening to on the podcast, he was talking about the prequels, he absolutely loved them, and he was talking about the interview from Dave Filoni. If you don't know who Dave Filoni is, he's the person who basically made the latest season of Clone Wars happen. He's executive producer on Clone Wars. He's also the executive producer on The Mandalorian, probably the biggest and best, Disney Plus show we've had yet. I know a lot of people would say some of the Marvel stuff. I very much disagree there, but I absolutely love The Mandalorian, and he's the executive producer on that show. He's also directed a couple episodes of Mandalorian, and at the same time, though, he's also a big defender of the prequels. He works in Lucasfilm, and he's a big defender of the prequels. In fact, George Lucas himself has even called Dave Filoni his, quote-unquote son, because he's not actually a biological son, but he sees him as his son because of the way Dave Filoni sees Star Wars. He sees Star Wars in a very similar way to George Lucas does. And that's why I really like Dave Filoni. I mean, I don't really like what he's done. I'm not the huge fan of the Clone Wars, but I like him as a person because he loves what he does. He's involved in Lucasfilm. He's working on these TV shows like Clone Wars, Mandalorian. He's even working on the new series, the Book of Boba Fett, coming out later this year. And he just absolutely loves Star Wars. And I love people who, work in the industry that they love, and you can really tell that they love what they're doing. And I watched some interviews with Dave Filoni. He just absolutely loves like The Mandalorian, he loves like Clone Wars and things like that, and he loves the Star Wars prequels. And so he was talking about, in this interview, about how important the Duel of Fate in Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace is. And basically, I didn't actually realise this, but now he, now watching the interview, now hear what he said, it actually makes a lot of sense. Basically, that duel determines the fate of the galaxy. The duel at the end of the first Star Wars film, if you're watching chronological order, not technically the first Star Wars film, but you get my point there. Pardon me, by the way, I had some lunch products review, but anyway, live stream, but anyway, yeah, get my point, pardon me there. But anyway, basically, this fate to do with, Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Darth Maul determines the fate of the galaxy in, technically, the first Star Wars film. And I just found that fascinating, because when you really look into it, it does. Now, if you bear with me a sec, I'm just going to jump onto the article online. Oh, there's me doing my last stream. Ooh. So, this is the article that I'm going to look on. If you look at here. So, scroll up here a bit, so I haven't got this for the best. Anyway, here we are. Let's read the article from here. Speaking on the Disney Plus documentary, Disney Glide The Mandalorian, which, by the way, is a really good, it's a really nice, documentary series. It's on Disney Plus right now. I'd highly recommend it. Filoni went into a passionate speech about the scene and how it connects to Return of the Jedi. So when he means the scene there, he means the fate, the big lightsaber duel between Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and Darth Maul, the Duel of the Fates in The Phantom Menace. He says that the Duel of the Fates actually refers to Anakin and how Qui-Gon Jinn and Maul are fighting over the fate of his very soul. motorbike going on that there. So if you heard it, the background, there's about 5 motorbikes going on outside right now. But anyway, Qui-Gon Jinn, if he wins, will go on to be the father Anakin never had, and he would therefore never turn to the dark side and plunge the galaxy into chaos. Maul is meant to be seen as an evil incarnate and acts as a proxy for the Emperor, who will go on to possess Anakin if Qui-Gon fails. Filoni says this adds a whole different level of meaning to this already cool scene. Now, if you actually jump onto here a sec, I'm actually going to play this video. Apparently, I've already played it, but I'm going to watch it again. We're gonna play this video, and basically, you guys will get to see what I'm on about. And you're just going to see Dave Filoni talking about the scene in the Phantom Menace. So just give me
in Phantom Menace.
Bear with me a sec. Make it full screen, shall I? Bear with me a sec. Hope you guys can hear all fine.
In Phantom Menace, you're watching these 2 Jedi in their prime fight this evil villain. Maul couldn't be more obviously the villain. He's designed to look evil, and he is evil, and he just expresses that from his face all the way out through the type of lightsaber he fights with. What's at stake is really how Anakin's going to turn out, because Qui-Gon is different than the rest of the Jedi, and you get that in the movie, and Qui-Gon is fighting because he knows he's the father that Anakin needs, because Qui-Gon hasn't given up on the fact that Jedi are supposed to actually care and love, and that's not a bad thing. The rest of the Jedi are so detached, and they've become so political that they've really lost their way. And Yoda starts to see that in the second film. But Qui-Gon is ahead of them all, and that's why he's not part of the council. So he's fighting for Anakin, and that's why it's the duel of the fates. It's the fate of this child. And depending on how this fight goes, Anakin his life is gonna be dramatically different. So Qui-Gon loses, of course. So the father figure, because he knew what it meant to take this kid away from his mother when he had an attachment, and he's left with Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan trains Anakin at first out of a promise he makes to Qui-Gon, not because he cares about him. When they get Anakin, when they find him on Tatooine, he says, "Why do I feel like we've found another useless life form?" He's comparing Anakin to Jar Jar.
Excuse me.
And he's saying, "This is a waste of our time. Why are we doing this? Why do you see importance in these creatures like Jar Jar Binks and this 10-year-old boy? This is useless." So he's a brother to Anakin eventually, but he's not a father figure. That's a failing for Anakin. He doesn't have the family that he needs. He loses his mother in the next film. He fails on this promise that he made, "Mother, I will come back and save you." So he's left completely vulnerable. And Star Wars ultimately is about family. So that moment in that movie, which a lot of people I think diminish into just a cool lightsaber fight, but it's everything that the entire 3 films of the prequels hangs on, is that one particular fight.
That's actually really poignant, and I never thought of it that way. Honestly, I kind of thought of it the way he talked about it, then the way Dave Filoni talked about it. Then he talked about how it is in the way you kind of view it when you're a kid. Oh, it's a really cool lightsaber fight. You see Darth Maul, the double-ended lightsaber, and you see Qui-Gon Jinn, you see Obi-Wan, they're all fighting, just for a bit of fun, for like a big climax to the end of the Phantom Menace. But the thing is, though, when you look back at it now, and when you look back at it with what Dave Filoni said, I think it's got a lot more context than, it originally does. Like, I wrote what my interpretation of that is now on this part, so I'm going to talk about it here. So Qui-Gon wins, then basically Anakin, like I said, like Dave Filoni said in that video, Anakin now has a father figure he never had. And if Qui-Gon wins, basically Anakin more than likely doesn't go to the dark side. Anakin in the end becomes the Jedi, the chosen one, the one we've all wanted. He did become the chosen one in the end, technically, in Return of the Jedi. But at the same time, though, he becomes the chosen one sooner than we expected. And then, obviously, if Darth Maul wins, Anakin either dies or goes straight to the dark side, just like that. And that's what's so unique about that fight scene. The fact that it could go either way. I mean, we've already seen what happens if Obi-Wan survives, and we've already seen what happens, if Obi-Wan takes care of him. Like Dave Filoni said, Obi-Wan becomes more of a brother to Anakin, but not a father, is what Anakin really needs. And then, in the end, Anakin goes to the dark side. And I just find that fascinating, because, I mean, The Phantom Menace is such a bad film, but then you have this really, in a way, I wouldn't say deep, but at the same time, though, it kind of is. It's a deep fight in the film. The climax of the film, the big lightsaber duel between these 3 characters, is actually quite deep, realising what could happen, what is at stake, and what could happen for the fate of the galaxy. I just find that fascinating. The fact that George Lucas makes such a baffling film with characters like Jar Jar Binks in there, and you have other Gun-Guns, and then, the Jar Jar Binks species, and then you have all these other characters which are all kind of useless. Padme with Natalie Portman doing one of her worst performances, and just so much of the screen, so much what you watch in the Phantom Menace is so just pants, to be honest. But then you get to this epic lightsaber fight. Not only is the lightsaber fight so well choreographed, and you have this incredible John Williams musical score going in the background, do 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 do. Not only do you have that going in the background, you also have this deeper meaning to the scene, which just makes things 10 times. I mean, it makes it more than 10 times better, in my opinion. I actually want to go back and watch the Phantom Menace now again. And actually, in this article, it talks about what David Lynch actually goes and talks about how the fate at the end of the Phantom Menace, this whole Duel of Fate, and the whole significance of it, actually goes on to make Return of the Jedi and the final fight in Return of the Jedi between Darth Vader and Luke, and technically the Emperor there as well, more significant. If we continue on this article here. This is what Filoni says. Dave Filoni, like the person I showed you in that video, was talking about the significance of the scene, the Duel of Fate fight. Filoni says that this adds a whole different level of meaning to this already cool scene, which it does. He goes on to say that it's a direct link to Return of the Jedi, where Luke refuses to kill his father, Anakin, despite the Emperor's insistence. So we come down here in a minute. That's a nice photo from the Phantom Menace. But anyway, Filoni says that by throwing his saber down and rejecting Palpatine, Luke is saying that he will always love his father no matter what. This is when Vader, Anakin, decides to be the father to his son he never had himself after Qui-Gon died, sacrificing his power to save Luke. For Filoni, this brings things full circle back to the duel in the Phantom Menace. This message of hope and family was integral to Lucas, says Filoni, and that George told him to always make sure Star Wars remains hopeful. And then obviously the article goes on a bit, but no, I'm not going to really talk about what the article says after that, because this kind of goes on about where you can find the Star Wars movies on Disney Plus. But anyway, you got my point there. It makes that moment in, the Phantom Menace so much more significant when you realise that the galaxy is at stake there, and then you go to Return of the Jedi, and basically in the very first Star Wars movie, watching chronological order, which I always try to do, by the way, if you go back to the very first Star Wars movie and you reflect on it from Return of the Jedi, you're like, oh my god, Anakin lost a father he almost had. Qui-Gon died. And then you go to Return of the Jedi, and actually Anakin becomes that father he never had. He becomes that father to Luke. He becomes the chosen one at the end. Not in the way that the Jedi wants him to in the prequels, but in the end, that he did become the chosen one. He saved Luke, and he killed the Emperor. I mean, not really in the end, because actually the Emperor came back in The Rise of Skywalker. But if you count just the original 6 films, then there you go. It's really fascinating then, actually. And the more I think about it, the more I actually really like it. The more it makes me like the Phantom Menace a little bit more. There's still millions of problems with the Phantom Menace. I mean, Jar Jar Binks, which in itself, deserves one big moment. Just reflects how bad Jar Jar Binks is in that film. But if you take Jar Jar Binks out of the Phantom Menace, and if you take some of the other plans and stuff out, and the other Senate hearings and things like that, and you take out Natalie Portman's awful performance as Padme, and you take out the whole yippee moment as well of young Anakin, who has like a baseball cut, whatever. If you take out all those moments in that film and you just have that lightsaber fight, it's so much more significant. And then you look how the Star Wars films pan out past that epic lightsaber fight at the end of the Phantom Menace, and I just think that's fantastic. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I think we're talking about George Lucas here, the same person who made the Star Wars prequels just for money, but did add somewhat depth into those fight sequences, which is just something directors wouldn't do. Like, I must admit, I'm not the biggest fan of George Lucas as a film director. He's made some of my favourite films of all time. He's been one of the big hands, helping in making some of my favourite films of all time. The Indiana Jones films, the Star Wars films, and so on and so on and so on. But the thing is, I don't actually think he's that good of a director. I don't think he brings the best out in actors. And, Kai Fisher's even spoke about herself, how she didn't really get much from George Lucas in terms of direction when she was doing A New Hope. And, Ewan McGregor was told that Ewan McGregor's come out and said, his role in the prequels was just to walk into rooms and look around. And it just, you hear all these stories about George Lucas and how he's not a great director. And I don't think he is, to be honest. But what I do think he is someone who understands the Star Wars universe better than anyone. And I just think the way he made just that, big fight sequence at the end of the Phantom Menace, quite significant for the Star Wars future, if you're watching in chronological order. I just think that's fascinating, and I honestly really like that whole story. The fact that final fight, the duel of the fates between Darth Maul, Qui-Gon Jinn, and Obi-Wan determines the fate of the galaxy. And I love that now. I actually really want to go back and rewatch the Phantom Menace to see if I like it anymore, because I know that I don't think I will like the Phantom Menace much more, but I think I like the end a bit more, because in the end, like I said before, if Qui-Gon Jinn wins, then Anakin gets a father he never had, and he gets a training he gets a training he wanted. He never got in the end, but he gets a training he wanted, and he becomes the chosen one before all the capital and everything, and the galaxy don't go into chaos. But then if Darth Maul wins, then Anakin either dies or goes to the dark side, just like that. But then we already see what happens if Obi-Wan wins, and basically things get a lot more complicated. And that's just fascinating, and I really like that story. And go read up more about it if you want to. I think it's a really interesting story. It's a really interesting take on Star Wars as a whole, and I really like that. I thought it was absolutely fascinating, and it actually kind of maybe didn't make that scene look genius. Maybe I was in hyperbolizing everything on the title of this video. I don't think it necessarily actually makes the Duel of Fate sequence in the Phantom Menace genius, but at the same time, though, it does make me find it fascinating. Gotta admit, I really like that sequence more now because of Dave Filoni's take on the Duel of Fate. And can we also point out how well that sequence is used in the film? Like I said, the choreography and the brilliant John Williams theme, the Duel of Fate theme, used in the background, which is just brilliant. It really is. And just the Duel of Fate theme within itself, the one that John Williams composed, amazing theme, one of his best pieces of music. And by the way, I'm a huge John Williams fan. One of his best pieces of music. And the way it's used brilliant in the Phantom Menace, a film that's not so good. It's even used in Attack of the Clones, a film that's pretty bad. It's used in Attack of the Clones pretty well, though. And it's even used in Revenge of the Sith when you have the fight between Yoda and Palpatine, and, Obi-Wan and Anakin. It's just brilliant, that piece of music. And I just wanted to talk about that briefly a sec, just how brilliant that piece of music is. And maybe that's even a bit more significant there, the fact that, that brilliant piece of music that John Williams composed, called Duel of Fates, keeps being used in the prequels. All these things that happen in the prequels, like when it is used in Attack of the Clones, actually, now that I think about it, is used when Anakin goes and finds out that his mother's dying. He sees his mother die. That's a key moment for Anakin's future in the Star Wars films. And then when it's used in Revenge of the Sith, it's used in the fight between Yoda and Palpatine, and Anakin and Obi-Wan. Big moments in Revenge of the Sith. Great moments in my opinion, but big moments as well. And that's just, it's so significant that it made me look at the prequels in a slightly different way. Not necessarily a better way, but a different way. And that's what I really like about it. I like when I hear stories like that, and takes on scenes like that, and I just hear people's different ideas on what a scene is like in the film. And in the end, yes, the Phantom Menace the Duel of Fate scene in the Phantom Menace, the fight between Darth Maul, Obi-Wan, and Qui-Gon Jinn, made it seem a bit cool on the surface at the end of the Phantom Menace, but actually there's much more depth there, which, I don't know, I found kind of awesome, I'm not gonna lie. And I think the way it's used in the later prequels as well is even better. And so I just find that absolutely fantastic. I really do. And I love that little story, and I love that take from Dave Filoni, and I suppose George Lucas as well, on that scene as a whole. And I think that's really cool. And so that's my live stream for today. It's just me talking about the Duel of Fate in the Star Wars films. Oh my god, I'm sweating so much, by the way. But that's my live stream today, talking about the Duel of Fate in the Phantom Menace, and how it kind of what's the word there? How it kind of sets up the rest of the Star Wars films. And I found that really fascinating. Now I'm going back and I'm gonna go back and probably rewatch the Phantom Menace tonight, actually, because even though I'm not a big fan of that film, just hearing that story made me reflect it a bit, made me look at it a bit differently as a whole. But anyway, pardon me there, by the way. But anyway, that's what I'm going on this live stream today. I'm not going to go on too much more because oh my god, it's so hot in this room. I'm going to repeat myself way too much more if not careful, because my mind goes all over the place in the heat. So thank you for watching. If you're still watching this live, apparently from last I checked, I still did have one person watching this live. So thank you to that one person who is watching this live. Thank you very much for watching this live. And if you're watching on playback, thank you as well. Thank you for watching this live stream today. And if you haven't yet, please do click down below and like, subscribe on on this live stream, and look forward to many more, both film and TV reviews and live streams coming very soon on this channel. And remember, if you want me to talk about something in my next live stream, please let me know in the comment section below, and I'll hopefully talk about that in my next live stream or the live stream after that, or whenever in the near distant future. But until then, guys, see you guys again soon. Bye bye for now. Bye.